Hello, welcome to another Good Ride review. In this video, we are talking about Uberleben's Stoker Flatpack stove. It's a very compact stove that is designed to work with wood or any fuel that you kind of find around your campsite or wherever it is that you are using the stove at. This is the stainless steel version, but they also have an ultralight version as well. The stainless steel version weighs 15 ounces and the titanium version weighs 9 ounces. And that is including this canvas bag that it comes in. It's kind of designed to work with a very small amount of fuel, little sticks or pine cones or whatever you can find around your campsite. And it doesn't take too much fuel either to get the job done. So I used very little fuel to get the fire started because it has a pretty efficient airflow. And so once the fire started, it burns really well. And it didn't take too much to boil a pot of water and, you know, cook some breakfast in the morning. Yeah, so kind of a fun way to have your fire and stove while you're out there camping. We can take a look at it here. Now, I've already used it, so one of the exciting things about the stove is you're gonna get your hands dirty. So it comes with these 4 metal plates that create a square, and it's pretty simple and easy to assemble. The hardest part is attaching the 4th wall. You have to kind of twist the stove a little funny, and I was a little scared at first to bend these little hooks on the end when you twist it to make it fit, but it fits together and it's pretty tough, and I haven't bent it yet, so. So it comes with this on the bottom, which creates a really nice airflow and lets that fire burn nice and hot. It also comes with this extra support you put on the top that helps support the pot and also helps keep the stove kind of nice and tight. So I used this stove a few times, used it on the trail, used it at a campsite. It's very compact, so it's pretty easy to just toss in the pack, and it doesn't weigh too much. The benefit of having this is you don't have to bring a fuel canister along with you, so it's really quite small. It's one of the smallest versions of a stove I think I've had, especially if you factor in not having to put a fuel canister in your pack. So if this is all it is, then plus whatever pan you're using to cook, it's pretty compact and lightweight. And plus it's pretty fun to use as well. So I used this along with their tinder wick and also their Hexa fire starter, and it was a fun little setup. The only downside is the way that the fire worked. It could be considered an open flame, and so if there's certain restrictions about not having an open flame or a campfire, you might not be able to use it there. If you're gonna use it around places where fires are totally cool, it's a great option for cooking without making a huge bonfire, using little fuel, and also it's pretty efficient. I use this with their pot to boil some water on trail. I had this filled about halfway, and it took about 4 minutes and 40 seconds to boil the water enough to make some tea. It didn't take too much time, so not the fastest boiling water version, but it's more about kind of slowing down and enjoying the moment, having a little fire and relaxing a bit. You know, tear down, you do have to wait for it to cool down, but you do that with any stove and it cools down pretty quick. 10 minutes after you're done eating, it should be cool enough to break down. One of the cool things that I like about it is because of the ventilation that it has, it doesn't leave a lot of coals, so it burns pretty clean and it burns pretty hot. The downside to that is cooking on it, because it has such good ventilation, it's hard to get coals unless you have a larger piece of fuel in there. It burns pretty hot. I was cooking an egg on there and it was a little bit hot, so I had to kind of lift the pan up sometimes so I didn't burn it. Something to get used to as you're using it to cook. But I also like that there wasn't a ton of coals left over, so you don't really have to worry about putting the fire out, dousing it in a ton of water, because there's really nothing left. It burned pretty clean for me. And it didn't leave much but a few ashes behind after boiling water and cooking breakfast. But yeah, overall, I think it's great. I'm pretty happy with the stainless steel version, but if you want to go lightweight, you always have that option of the titanium as well. But it's definitely sturdy enough to have a pretty good sized pan. So this is the pan I was using, and then I also used like an 8-inch skillet, and it was plenty stable enough for that, but you could definitely put a little bit more weight on there as well. It's a pretty stable setup, but you do have to kind of watch how much fuel you put in, because if you start putting too much fuel, the flames start to kind of creep out the corners and the little spaces in the stove, and then it becomes just a really big fire. But you know, something you learn as you go. And then, you know, tear down is great, it's super easy, but again, you know, you're gonna get your hands dirty, so you're gonna tear it down and you're gonna get soot on your hands. And obviously I've used this a few times because the canvas bag is now black, but that's kind of part of the fun a little bit. It's a pretty compact set. You know, if I take this pot, the stove, I have the wick and the tinder box and the hexa fire starter. So really I've been separating this, and I've been putting the scraper in with the wick, and I've been putting the fire starter just in the pouch here, and then I've been nesting the inside of the pot with a little bit of some tissue that I use for tinder sometimes. So basically the whole set is this. So pretty small, you know, it's not the lightest weight and not the fastest to use, but it's a little bit more about slowing down and kind of enjoying the moment while you're outdoors. So as a look at the Stoker Flatpack stove, if you are looking for the reviews on the other gear I used with this stove, you can find those at thegoodride.com. And if you're looking for the complete write-up and review on this stove, you can also find that at thegoodride.com.